Hey everybody, it's Brad.
And I'm Christa.
With the Big Family Homestead, and today we're going to share with you what we've done to declutterize and provide more space for our preparedness pantry.
Yeah.
Okay folks, so here's the scoop. We are going to show you what we've done in terms of building these shelves, and if you are impatient like me, a time is going to come up on the screen right now and you can go ahead and click to that time. But if you want to stick around for just a few brief moments, we want to tell you why we've come to the conclusions that we need to with our storage. We're going to tell you a little bit about how it works and why we designed it that way. But let's start out with what we do. We are homesteaders and we are preparedness-minded people. So what that means in my mind and in our world is in terms of homesteading, we try to make and do and grow as much food as we can, recycle as many things as we can, don't run out to the store every time something breaks. We try to fix it. And we do as much as we can to be self-reliant. Now, in terms of the preparedness side of things, we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Natural disasters happen all the time. Disturbances in terms of trucking at different stores. I mean, I'm told that most stores only have 3 days worth of food on hand. And you talk about snow events or any kind of, tsunamis and all this kind of crazy stuff. You don't even need to go to conspiracy world to find that it's probably a good thing to have some stuff saved up.
Right. So, we live in central Wisconsin and, we could have, 3 feet of snow the next day and not even know that there was that much weather coming. So
it changes fast.
It does change fast. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It just does that. So we could have a snow event here tomorrow and wouldn't realize that it was happening. So we have to be prepared to take care of our family and those around us. We've got lots of elderly folks that live around us, and we want to be able to take care of them if there is a need. And
one of our subscribers mentioned on a live stream, prepare to share. Exactly. And I love that. But, and there's a million other reasons why you want to make sure you can protect your family where, hey, what happens if it's the middle of winter and your heating goes out? Exactly. Would you be able to survive? Would you be able to make that happen? And so we prep and we also homestead. So now that is the reason behind what you're getting ready to see with these shelves.
Yep.
So with that said, this is what we did with the shelving units. Well, first of all, my son David has a background in carpentry, and he is back from the Army, and he did a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of measurements and figuring out what exactly we needed to do in terms of the cutting and the bracing and all that kind of stuff. But basically what we came up with was 3 shelving units that were 2 foot by 8 feet long that had 3 tiers in them.
Yep.
The top end of the tier was about 5 feet tall. And we did the spacing pretty much equidistant. And the reason for that is because sometimes you might want to change out your whatever you're having on those shelves. You might need a little higher, might need a little less, but that's okay because what you can do is you can always put a shim, if you will, of cardboard and stack things up. And Mama, why don't you tell them why we left so much, we did leave a bunch of space between front and behind because it's an important thing.
It really is. We want to be able to rotate our supplies. You don't want to use up your brand new cans of tomatoes when you've got some from 3 years ago that need to get eaten. You don't want those to go bad. So we want to be able to have the oldest stuff in the front so you can just pull from there and then feed it from the back when you have new stuff in there.
Yeah.
And we also made them about 5 feet tall so that the younger kids can be able to reach stuff on the top.
Right. I mean, because it's a family. Everybody works together. Sometimes we're up cooking and we're like, hey, it'd be great in this can of blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So go grab one, and they all know, okay, we pick from this side, and that way you're going to get the stuff that needs to be eaten so you don't run through things.
Right.
Now, in terms of the build, this was a very basic build. We're talking a box. Now, David, he definitely made this whole thing a lot easier.
Yes.
I could have done it, but it probably would not have looked as nice. on my own, I guess. But Mama helped. Mama helped. So did Hope.
Yeah, we all helped, and it was mainly David's expertise on getting these boxes square.
Well, and there's a funny thing to that. I got to tell you something, and I will. But the first thing is that I learned some stuff just by watching him, the way he would measure things and the way he would mark on there what is what and where to mark a saw line or a cut. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm not a carpenter, and I'm learning as I go. And so I learned a bunch. But now the funny thing is that we had the first 2 units completely built. Okay, then we ran out of some wood, had to run to the store to get some wood, ran out of screws, had to go back to the store to get some screws, and we realized, we're all pretty tired.
We're done for the day.
Even though we had kind of started on the 3rd shelf, and it was just like, we're done. Let's just be done. And then the next day, one thing leads to another, and David was not there to help us, and I wanted to get it done. I just was like, I want to get it done. And then I go down there, and lo and behold, Brad, the novice carpenter, is stuck with some of the most warped, wave-like 2x4s that you have ever seen.
It was insane, and they were so wonky and really difficult to put together to make them square. And then Brad's holding it, and it was crazy. So then I go to put in the first screw, and I just rammed it. I just railed it through. It went halfway through the 2x4, split it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is. You need to just take a breath, start over.
Yeah. So I just kind of undrilled everything, and we worked it.
Yeah.
But the point in that chunk of this talk is that you can do it. It's not hard. We're going to talk about price here in a second, but it's not hard. All we needed in terms of tools was screw guns.
Yep.
We needed a saw, a square, and was that about it? That's about it, isn't it?
Screws. Well, we needed the wood.
Right. Well, that's tools. I said tools.
Oh, tools.
That's about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Measuring tape.
Well, and a hammer was helpful when you needed to kind of get something into spot where you know you were going to have to screw it in.
Right.
But long story short is that had we had to do this on our own, it probably would have taken us 2 full days for the 3 shelves. And by full days, I mean like 4-hour days. Right.
It would have taken us a lot longer to get it done. And it really only took us, 6 hours total?
Altogether, 6-7 hours, just because we don't just do one thing in a day. We had already been working, Yeah. But now let's talk about the cost, okay? You could scrounge materials and pull it off without any problem at all if you're resourceful. You could even go and find free pallet wood and put it together. You'd have to design it differently.
Yes.
And they would be really heavy.
Yes.
But it could be done.
Right. These shelves that we made, each one is easily moved by Brad and I. Easily moved.
How much would you say they'd be like maybe 85 pounds, 80 pounds?
If that. I mean, it's
not that
really
big of a deal.
lightweight.
Oh yeah, and for the wood, the materials, we used basic 2x4s. The reason why the shelves were measured out as 2 foot wide, 8 foot long was you can have Home Depot rip those boards for you, the actual shelving.
The plywood, yeah.
Yeah, and we used the thin stuff, the particle board, because we used 2x2s as bracing. Shelving, the bracing underneath, so that we could get away with not having to use very expensive particle board.
Right.
And so it was basically 2x4s, screws, plywood, and 1x2s or 2x2s.
2x2s, 2x4s, and then 1/4-inch plywood.
So all in all,
it cost $160.
Yep. And so once again, you could scrounge, you could figure out whatever it is that you need to do, but it's making life a lot easier here.
Oh, definitely.
And we're not going to waste as much because now you're not shuffling through going, okay, now which one's the oldest can of spaghetti or sauce?
Right. So we're going to be able to organize it just right. and be able to use our older supplies and then bring in the new.
So there you have it, folks. If we can do it, you certainly can do it.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm Brad.
I'm Krista.
You guys have an amazing and blessed day.